FWING 2.0 is starting to really take shape. Ron Mathis has been out from Indianapolis several times to help us engineer better parts for this car than what we ran on the old car, and now he's got the boys working on all the different aspects. Eric's been out from the East Coast race shop, and he's been working on mainly the front half of the car and taking care of most of the cooling stuff and mounting most of our turbo components. This thing's utilizing our Descendant turbo manifold and one of our Descendant intake manifolds, but all the plumbing's custom, just like anything else. Scotty, on the other hand, has been working on all the other areas of the car, mounting the wings, mounting the body, getting the doors ready, and now we're about 2 weeks out from the debut of this car, and it looks like we're on schedule, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
The World Racing team has started with a brand new Scion TC body shell. And this is a really good car. We're proud and happy to represent Scion in time attack racing. There are many virtues in the Scion TC. We're using the basic engine that anybody can buy from any dealership, for example, and we're making bukus of horsepower. At the same time, when you're putting up to 1,000 horsepower through a front-wheel drive car, it's not a grocery getter anymore. And we have to evolve with what we're doing. So we learned some very valuable lessons with the original front-wheel drive car. And one of the problems that we had was that it was very maintenance intensive. So we spent a lot of time fixing it instead of developing it and making it go faster. We're trying to nip those problems in the bud with the new car. And we've made some big decisions on fitting better systems. So we are designing a special front suspension for this car. It's going to be stronger, it's going to have better geometry, and it's going to be a lot more durable.
One of the things Christian wanted to do with this car was he wanted a ram air setup. So we actually have some ports in the front bumper that we can utilize for a lot of the cooling and air for the motor. So we made this ram air duct that feeds the turbo. That's going to catch all the air, and the faster we go, the more air it's going to catch. So this will only feed the inlet of the turbo, which is good. We've placed all these critical components. Got our intercooler, we got our radiator, our turbo setup, our junction pipe, our wastegate, our up tubes. We got our oil tank, coolant lines, blow-off valves on our big intercooler pipe here. Everything's a really nice, tight package. All the stuff we learned from the TC1, we've refined and put in the TC2. So this is like an evolution of the car.
We're really excited this year about using the new Seibon parts on the 2011 race car build, because we know building this thing lightweight is going to be key to it being fast. And all of their carbon hoods, doors, and deck lids are really lightweight when you compare them to the factory parts. For example, we weighed the doors versus the factory Scion TC doors, and they were about 30 pounds lighter. So overall, we've shaved about 60 pounds off the car. And the cool thing is, after Esteban got done prepping these things for paint, they fit like a factory door.
We're getting all the electronics going on in this car. We've got the coil pack set up so Gary Kuba can come in and start running the spark plug wires to the coil packs. I got James Lynn here today who's going to go over all the electronic modules that we need to mount, so we'll have a mounting plate up under the dash for that. Nice new piece that we've added to this is Chris's new steering wheel. All his instrumentation, part of it will still be out of here. Paddle shifts on the side, so he can now electronically shift right here from a paddle, just like he's playing a video game. Quick release set up on here. Second part of his instrumentation is the stack gauge cluster here. Still has full digital readout for all diagnostics. Also, for better visual aid, has a full mechanical dial RPM gauge. He hasn't really been very happy with the digital RPM gauges previous. This will help him much better. This will sit right down into this area of the dash. Perfect view right through the steering column here, which when you're sitting in the car, it seems like it's kind of cluttered right now, but when you're in the car, it's in prime view. Now, because in this car, the way we set Chris up, we actually moved Chris over 2.5 inches in the car to the center from where factory seating would be in the car. So since he's moved over 2.5 inches, the steering and everything else moved with him. Well, cohesively, the shifter did also. It moved over a bit. So we have a shifter rod coming forward here. to a bell crank, which I had made, that offsets that shifting rod from the shifter to step over and meet up within the engine compartment to the transmission. To support this wing, because with all the pressure of the air that's coming across it, we have very good solid mounting at the base. We have front connecting rods that come from here to the main chassis cage. And then we have a diagonal bar here to keep from side shifting. So the wing can be very sturdy and push all this air pressure right to the chassis, which then transmits to contact patch of the tires to the ground. We're trying to keep all the weight even to this car. More or less taking some of the things that we've done wrong or would have liked to change in previous cars, doing it to this one. So we're really spreading the weight out. With our fuel cell, same thing. We kept it low in the middle of the car. The iconic piece of this car is the front wing. Now this front wing is multifunctional, is this whole centerpiece of this car. It not only does take the air and make down pressure for the car to give us ground pressure for traction and stability, but it's also a main piece that keeps all this structurally together. We've actually had the mindset to make this car more functional this time. So it's more serviceable when we come back in the pits and we have an issue or we just do need to do regular maintenance. Pretty much this whole front end will be completely disassemblable quickly. The top hoop bar and the bottom hoop bar linked together with our wing struts. They're of structural chromoly tubing, same with all the other tubing. NES grade 8 bolts all hold it together. So when we need to take this apart, we can pull the wing off, pull the struts off, we can pull the top hoop off, intercooler, radiator, everything comes apart, and then this thing will be back to just a bare frame horn and subframe. One kind of key thing is that maybe we don't always need to take the whole car apart. We just want to take one section out. One of the things that can always go bad, just by pure luck of racing, is the transmission. If in the chance that we need to pull transmission out, what? I loosen this, pull 2 bolts, now my triangulation bar is pulled out and we can slip the transmission right out through here without destroying or taking the time to take everything else out. Same on both sides. It has one on this side and one on the other side, so you can do the same thing over there. We have to pull a pulley off, take a belt off. We are still shooting for a double wishbone suspension for this car. But as it sits right now, we can still run factory suspension under it. With just the addition of one bar here that runs forward to aft in the subframe and 2 mounting points up on the frame horn here, we can have a double wishbone suspension put in like that. We don't have those tabs set up yet. We're still in the design point of the suspension and we're just waiting for those final numbers to put that in.
I'm really happy with what I see. There's a whole lot of stuff got tidied up, a whole lot of stuff done really well. The motor's been remounted, it's now further back. Having the weight further back is absolutely a good thing. And everything it's a measure of a good race car when it all fits in, it's all tidy, and it doesn't really quite look like you got enough bits in there for it to actually run. When it's this good, it's this tidy, it's just nice.